Welcome back to Stories with Steve. This story is about two hustlers that get jacked by an old man, and you'll never guess what happened next. All right, so this story takes place early 90s, right? Early to mid 90s, more to the early side. Um, I'm chilling with my homeboy Eddie. We had just smoked a joint, we chilling, right? We young, we're in our teens or whatever. So we're just surveying the area, chilling on a nice summer day. We then see these two dudes who are crack dealers, right? Semi notorious crack dealers, but kind of goofy at the same time. Now, we look across the street and it was a Puerto Rican dude and a black dude. Now, at this point, we see the Puerto Rican dude dragging the black dude by his feet, and he's dragging him from one side of the block to the other. And the black dude's trying to put his hands in his back I guess, so his back doesn't scrape the ground. But he's not really successful, right? So his back is getting scraped up, stuff is falling out of his pockets, right? And when they were doing this, they happened to pass a private house where there was an old Italian man who used to chain smoke cigarettes all day. You know, you barely heard the guy talk, and if he did talk, he didn't speak English. He only spoke, Italian and his particular dialect from whatever region he was from. So they had passed by his house, and he was out there on his like 13th cigarette or whatever. So they're dragging each other up and down the street like morons. For what reason, I do not know. I then heard that the black dude had dragged the Puerto Rican dude earlier that day for 2 blocks straight. So I don't know if the Puerto Rican dude was trying to get back at him for dragging him. I don't know why you're dragging your homeboy up and down the street. Like, what kind of crap is that? But I digress. So, like I said, he had dragged him past his old man's house. And I had seen the old man look and kind of like a little dip, but I didn't think nothing of it at the time. So now they finished dragging each other like idiots, and I see the black dude reaching his back pocket like he's looking for something. And he looks at his other pocket. Then he's walking up and down the street, up and down the street. Now apparently he had like a bag or something in it that had both the money and his pack of where he was getting his money from, if you get my drift. So, and while they were dragging each other up and down the street like complete morons, his bag with his money and his work had fell out. And when they passed by the old chain smoking Italian dude, being they were oblivious in their stupid activities, the old man had picked up their suit, right? And went, I seen him dip, kind of go back into the hallway and come back out. So now they're like in complete disarray. They're looking all over for their money and for their work, right? They can't find it. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Then eventually these two idiots put two and two together and realized that they had dragged themselves by the old Italian man and that possibly he took their stuff. Now, for some reason, they didn't want to press the issue and get gangster with the old man. But they were talking to him like, hey, did you see anything? And he's, oh, no gabiche, no gabito, and smirking. So now they're getting under suspicion that the old Italiano took their stuff, right? But again, they're not trying to press him on no aggressive stuff. I guess maybe to them that would look weird, you know, rolling up on an old man. I do not know how much money or work he exactly took from them, but it was enough that they were somewhat upset. So I'm thinking in my head, oh, they either gonna try to jump this old dude or take the L, and you know what I mean? Maybe we shouldn't have been dragging each other up and down the street like morons while having money and work on us. And now I got to tell whoever I got the work from, well, my friend was dragging me up and down the street like an idiot. And all my money and work fell out. And I think an elderly old Italian man who doesn't speak English took it. Pretty sure that's not going to go over well with his connect, but I digress. So I still thought the situation was they were going to take the L or unfortunately maybe get violent with this old dude. But they did something completely out of the ordinary. So I seen them strategizing there like in a little huddle. And you never guess what they did. These fools called the cops, right? And I guess they initially told the cops, like the old man robbed them or stole from them. And initially, I think the call was just about money. So a cop actually shows up and he's talking to these two dudes who sell crack. And the guy who was getting dragged is trying to tell him there was more than just money missing, but I guess didn't want to say, hey, well, I had a bag full of money and crack, and the old man stole it. Because, you can't really get drugs back or, illegal merchandise. But anyway, so he's basically trying to tell the cop that, yeah, the bag had money and some other stuff in it. And the police officer is like, what's the other stuff? And he's like, oh, just some other stuff, stuff for me and, stuff. So the cop goes over and he tries to talk to the old man. But again, the old man, no inglés, no gabiche, no gabito. He doesn't understand anything. Now, I don't think this cop really thought, well, these guys are not telling me what was in the bag, right? So he's presuming, because these cops kind of patrol these areas and kind of know who is or at least have an idea who might be selling stuff or not, right? So he's like, it's a bag with some kind of small quantities of money and some mysterious stuff that's in the bag that they won't tell me. Like, am I really going to go back to the precinct and talk to, whoever I got to talk to, then eventually get a warrant to go into this elderly man's house because they think he stole their money and drugs, right? So then they end up finding out the cop's not really going to do nothing about it, right? This is not really worth his time or his paperwork, and he leaves. Now these two guys are pissed off. They done snitched on the old man and called the cops on him, and still didn't get nothing out of it, right? So now they're basically two snitches. They snitched on the old man for stealing their pack. I mean, when you get juked by a guy who's in his 80s and frail and smokes 13 cigarettes every 3 hours, that's kind of crazy. But they never got their money back. They never got their work back, right? Old man kept it. I don't know what he did with it. Obviously, he could spend the money on food or whatever. I don't know if he had his own connect and put his own work out there or some craziness. But that's the story about when two crack dealers were being completely idiotic, dragging each other up and down the street like morons, and lost money and work and got juked by an old man.